Hi there, this is Lex Lubomirsky, and because it is Oscar season, we're going to take you back to one of the shoots we did based on one of the Oscar-nominated movies this year. So the shoot was to publicize the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood movie, which was based in 1969, and Quentin Tarantino and the magazine were very adamant about getting the time frame right in terms of all the props and the houses and the cars and everything like that. So we found this amazing location in the Beverly Hills. So first shot, the first one ready was Mr. Brad Pitt. We decked out the living room with this old sort of sofa, all these old records, a record player. Even the glass that he was carrying and drinking from had a very sort of 60s vibe. Slightly kitsch, something you might see in your grandma's house. And when Brad came on set, he just knew exactly what to do. He looked around and saw the records, and he was like, okay, this is cool, you want to play with this, you want to do this? And then he just turns it on. As soon as he gets on set, he just becomes Brad Pitt, and he's the coolest guy in the world. This was going to be the cover. So what we did for this one, we got the car in the driveway, and I knew that I wanted to shoot it from above. So we got this huge ladder, I think it was like a 12-foot ladder. 12 foot, is that an exaggeration? So we got this 100-foot ladder, and I got a super wide angle lens and was shooting down on them. And we got this really cool old car. So the car we got was actually a 1968 or a 69, I believe. And one thing I wanted to do was, apart from prop it out in a very sort of 60s manner, I wanted to make sure that the lens we used sort of represented photography from that time. So we were looking at all these pictures of old Esquire magazines, old GQ magazines, and there was lots of wide angle lens being used, shooting down onto people or shooting up. Then we moved on to this one, which is going to be the opening spread. Whenever you do a shoot, you should have it's always nice to have an opening spread, which means a double page, which you can open up onto. So I asked Leo where he wanted to sit, and he said, well, if it's anything like the movie, then I won't be driving, Brad will be driving, because in the movie, Brad drives him everywhere. And then Quentin got in the back. So in terms of the lighting, we wanted to make it very natural. We didn't want to feel like it was lit. We also, in post, gave it a very grainy feel and a bit of a sort of a muted color wash to make it feel that sort of 1960s film. So then we went inside, and I asked Jack Flanagan, who's a set designer I work with, to bring all these little props, really bring the details to each shot. So this one here, I wanted Brad and Quentin to just be sitting on these lounges outside. Jack and I decided, you had to have the phone in there, the old phone, and we wanted one character to be sort of very like a healthy sort of milk drinker, and the other one to be this hardcore alcohol, tequila, smoking, etc. guy. I love it when I'm able to look at a picture in a magazine and see little clues as to who these people are, or just different aspects of what the characters are. So in this one, it's really sort of like just a little hook for people. So it's when you're glancing through a magazine, people tend to look through magazines very, very quickly. And we always want something to stay on the page a little bit longer. We did a couple of shots where they were looking very cool at the camera, but then in every shot, as soon as I started to move something, they just started talking, and they were just laughing about stuff and talking about the movie and talking about the publicity and everything. And so we ended up going with this shot because they had a great camaraderie between them. So then we went back out to the car again, and we had Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio in the car. He's a very calm, cool character. There was imagine there's 3 celebrities on set, which means 3 of the publicists, 3 of the managers, etc., etc. And then there's all the people from the crew hanging around. So there's lots of people jumping around, and we've got to get everything done super quickly. Leo is just standing right in the middle, cool as a cucumber, just looking around, just calm. With all this madness going, you wouldn't even imagine that he was standing in the middle of all this madness. You'd think he was standing in a field, just watching the breeze. Anyway, we sat him down, he was very cool, and we got this shot very quickly. Again, using a very wide angle lens. I think I was lying with my head on the ground, looking up. Then we went back to Brad, and Jack Flanagan had set up this card table outside on the back patio. And so we wanted, again, to have all these little things. I always notice that Brad loves to sort of eat stuff or drink stuff in movies. I may be completely wrong, but that's what I noticed. So we got what you would imagine somebody would be eating in '69. Old-looking burger, glass of milk, a cigarette ashtray, and this great phone. And again, we were playing with perspective. A very wide angle lens, so I wanted to get this phone really big in the foreground, and really get that feeling that you were almost like a bug on the table looking up at Brad Pitt as he's playing cards. So normally I don't really sort of let people smoke in my pictures, but because he was playing a character in this one, he was playing the character in the movie, so we rolled with it. So after that, we went to the pool room with Quentin and Leo, Again, using a very wide angle lens, getting lots of the pool balls in the foreground, giving that sort of heroic angle to the guys. The same with this one, very low on the ground, looking up, almost like they've just beaten you up. It was a pretty cloudy day in LA. We put a light outside on the patio and shone the light in through the patio window to give that sort of like airy feel. Otherwise it'd be a bit of a flat picture. After that, we had one more picture with Quentin. I just really wanted to get a really good close-up of Quentin because he's such a fascinating character. He's so interested in everything, looking at every detail on set, talking about his movie and talking about what they used to do in the old days on TV and in movies. And I just wanted to get a very, very simple, intense portrait of him. So we flipped the chair around, he sat there, and this is what we got. So after that, Michael Haney, who is the writer for Esquire, was interviewing all three in the other room. And I was asked to go in there and take pictures of them as they were being interviewed. Now, there's always been this reference that I love from an old Playboy magazines, where in the middle of Playboy magazines, they used to have this interview with the current male star of the day, whether it's a Robert De Niro, an Al Pacino, or a Burt Lancaster. So as they were talking to Michael Haney, I would just go around really quietly and just take pictures of Brad and Leo and Quentin talking. Sometimes I'd shoot through, get Brad in the foreground and have Leo, like this great one where they were talking about how much they enjoyed working with each other on set. As Michael Haney was getting set up, Brad and Quentin were talking about something in front of the crew, so I snapped that picture, which I really love. So in post-production, we really wanted to get the pictures to have a bit of that 60s, late 60s photographic feel. And it was a touch of grain. We worked with the retouchers very carefully on this to get the grain perfect, but also to get the wash of the film perfect. And it was a very sort of muted colors. There's a slight sort of beige happening throughout the color range. And that was it. And then we had to rush back to the airport to get on a red eye to come back to New York because we had to shoot the next day.